walkthrough. Today I'm going to be going through the Pathless. So the Pathless is a game that came out in 2020, initially for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. The developer of the Pathless was Giant Squid. They had a previous title, Abzu, released in 2016. Now to talk a little bit about myself, so I am a pretty bad player. However, we're going to get through this together. During this walkthrough, I will be completing the game. This is the first of the series in the Prologue area. And then we'll continue to the different areas. So this will be the first video of the series. Now I'm not going to be trying to 100% this game. However, I'm taking you through all the puzzles and what's required to actually complete the game. And kind of talking along during the game as well. So a little bit of a disclaimer, I have played a little bit of this game, mainly the first two areas. So I'll be explaining things as I'm going, just in case you're stuck in one area and you wanted to know how I was doing something. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start this game. The game starts off on the beach. And you're introduced to a lot of simple mechanics right here. So, as you can see, you're pretty much just walking around, looking around. That's pretty much all you can do. You can also jump, which you'll be doing in this next part of the level. So you'll be doing some simple platforming. So right here, just easy platforming, nothing too crazy. This whole area is pretty simple. Now, as you can see there, that target back there, this is one of the biggest game mechanics that you're going to be introduced to. You basically hold the R2 button, boom, and you hit your target. Now those targets, what they do is they fill up that little stamina bar at the bottom of the screen right there. That little stamina bar allows you to run. It's pretty important because walking in this game is much slower than running. And let's take us to our first cutscene. Now, as you can see there, you got like a little puzzle piece, and what that puzzle piece is going to allow you to do is, you see that temple right ahead? You'll be able to plug those puzzle pieces into those temples, and it kind of vanquish the evil in the area. Now, aiming in this game, pretty simple. You just hold the R2 and it auto-focuses on those targets. So there's not a whole lot of aiming at all. Now, right here, it's going to introduce us to our headband. It's kind of creepy, little grave robbing going on there. But we're going to put on this band, and it allows us to see through certain walls, as you can see right there. Now you have to activate it by pressing triangle, or else you cannot walk through this wall. You'll just, boom, hit this wall. Now, you'll see these runes everywhere. You press circle, and sometimes they're filled with information, sometimes they're filled with lore. But they're there, you can read them. They don't really help too much with any puzzles. So something else the headband does is it allows you to see these temples. So as you can see, there are 3 temples in this area, and that's the common theme throughout this game, are those 3 temples in every single area. Now this game mechanic of just running around and shooting stuff, pretty dope. I like it a lot. There's not a whole lot to it. It doesn't require a lot of skill. and the majority of the time you are going to hit your targets. Now every now and then you should probably take heed, press it, look around, because you'll see hidden targets like this, and when you hit those you'll get these gold little nuggets. They fill up a bar, and once they're all filled up, it will allow you to do a double jump with your Eagle Companion later on in this game. And then as you see here, there's dead people spread out throughout the land. You can go up to them. They'll tell you a little bit of some dialogue. Kind of give you some backstory to the game. And then after you select it, you'll notice it kind of dims down. I have noticed that if you collect all of them in a certain area, you can get an achievement or a trophy. So if you're a trophy hunter, I definitely recommend it. However, if you're not a trophy hunter, you can bypass them. Like I said, they're just more add some backstory to the game. So right there you see we put that puzzle piece in and vanquish the evil in the area, and we're ready to move on to the next temple. Now that first one was a gimme. All the other ones from here on out will have to actually find the puzzle pieces to put in those. Temples. Now as you saw there, you can kind of do a pseudo double jump if you jump and hit a target. But you can't just do a double jump just jumping around. So that's going to come in pretty clutch later on in this game, because you'll have to kind of traverse around some areas. So this is kind of a good area to kind of get used to running around. Just getting familiar with a lot of these game mechanics. You get really good. It actually is pretty fun. This is just some simple platforming right here. Now this little entrance, or this little prologue area, it's going to go ahead and introduce you a lot of these simple game mechanics for these puzzles. This first one being this switch right here. Nothing too crazy, just walk up to it, press circle, press down on the switch, and boom, you got that puzzle piece. Now here's what I was talking about. You have this little canyon, if you will, and it's a good time to practice doing that double jump. So you just jump, boom, and you stretch across. Pretty easy. Once you get the hang of it, I definitely recommend taking the time, hone these skills, because you're going to use them throughout the game, and it's always good to have a good foundation to these simple game mechanics that you're going to use throughout the game. Now, if for some reason you just can't do it, and you're like, I'm frustrated because I can't do that jump, no worries. They got you. Giant Squid said you can just run over here, and you run, jump, and then you can get to that temple just like that. It's not as fast. It's not as fun. Now we gotta find this last temple. And if you're ever lost in this game, really easy. You just press the triangle and it'll highlight whatever area you're trying to go to in red. Either a temple like that. I'll show you what the puzzle pieces look like when we get closer to that temple, because that puzzle piece is directly next to the temple. So we're just gonna kind of run around here. Like I said, this game mechanic, it works really well. Giant Squid did a very good job working this game mechanic. It doesn't feel forced. And there's enough targets to get to the point where you're not having to struggle to run out of stamina all the time. I thought that initially. I was like, oh, I'm just going to run out of stamina. This is going to be very annoying. And I'm going to get really frustrated with this game. That is not the case. Now, when you hit these targets, I'll do an example right here. If you don't hold R2 down all the way, there's a slight chance you're not going to hit it. If there's a tree blocking it, like that one over there, it's not going to do it. But if I hold it to the point where it is red, glowing red, there is a high chance I'm going to hit that. The only time you're not going to hit something like that one right there, if I get blocked by a tree, which doesn't really happen very often, but it does happen. So here's another game mechanic right here. I can't hit that piece right there. I can't hit that piece because there's a piece of metal blocking it. However, I use my vision. It'll let me know this is the switch I need to stand on. It opens it up. And another great thing is you don't have to be right next to the puzzle piece when it unlocks. It just unlocks. And it'll automatically come to you. So we're just going to run around, get to this next temple. Then we're going to plug this final piece in. And that will unlock all 3 of the temples in the area. Vanquish the evil from this area. Now this game does have a lot of similarities to Shadow of the Colossus and Zelda. For me, Shadow of the Colossus, because there's no enemies throughout the levels, throughout the areas, you're just fighting bosses. Which is kind of cool because it allows you just to focus on puzzles, you're not having to worry about enemies. So it's very similar to Shadow of the Colossus in that sense. And then later on in the game, I'll talk to you about how I think there's a lot of similarities between this and Zelda. It's not an exact one-for-one ripoff, but there are a lot of similarities. Mainly this game and Breath of the Wild. As you can see, there's no shortage of targets to hit. Run around. Very cool. And this is the next area that is unlocked now that we've vanquished the evil from the area. This is going to bring us to our next area. This is actually one area where you are going to run out of stamina. Doesn't last very long, but yeah, there's not enough targets for us to really make it all the way. And this is going to lead us to our first major cutscene.
Tanzania Shadow. Jadike Shazu Muka.
Ja. Dankiva foru Shazu. Jisahil vake tansu.
To Ibu Foru. Kazata. Jikivator. Jikivataru Shazu.
So this is the similarities I was talking about with Breath of the Wild. You have these beasts in the area. You have to defeat these beasts in order to reclaim the power to attack the final boss. However, unlike Breath of the Wild, where you can pick any of the bosses and fight them, in this this game, the Pathless, you have to go at it methodically. So you'll go one boss after one boss after one boss. Now this brings us to our next big addition to the game, which is our eagle. So right here we're introduced to our eagle. And you'll pet the eagle. Now I'm not a big fan of this game mechanic. What happens is the eagle will perch itself on your hand. And you'll have to kind of clean the eagle in order to restore the eagle back to its former self, I guess. And this will happen pretty often throughout the game. It doesn't take a long time, but there is that. So once you see that it's all, boom, you saw that little aura that go around it, I mean, it's done. We can continue, and that is our new companion throughout this game. Now as we come up right here, this is going to bring us to the next area, which we're going to talk about game mechanics with the eagle, basically how to solve puzzles with the eagle. So you'll be using these game mechanics to solve a lot of puzzles throughout the world. This one, the eagle pretty much grabs these weights and places them on switches, and it's real simple. You just press circle, eagle picks it up, you go by one of these switches, drop it, opens it up. Very simple. They kind of switched up here a little bit. We have two of them. You need to use both of the weights in order to open that gate. So right here, you have to use this weight to get to that weight. As you can see, you can't hit it. You have to use this switch right here. And then that allows us to get our weight. We'll grab our eagle, grab the weight. It'll follow you, so there's no need for you to kind of babysit it. It'll follow you pretty well. Drop it, and then we'll go back and get that other weight to complete the puzzle. Once again, there's nothing very challenging here. This is all just to teach you the basics, which I think Giant Squid does a pretty good job at showing you how to complete these puzzles, or giving you the pieces to complete these puzzles. Now here's an obstacle you run into. As you can see, there's kind of a red aura surrounding that piece. Your eagle's kind of scared, scarred from its encounter with a God Slayer, which is the main boss of this game, so it will refuse to get that puzzle piece because it's scared of that aura or that evil surrounding that weight. So what we got to do is we got to vanquish that evil, and this will kind of key back to one of the things that we learned early on in the game. As you can see there's that wall, and we're allowed to go through that wall. So always remember, you see that glowing blue wall, that's your cue to use your shield, or use your eye shield, headband, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll press down on the switch. It will vanquish the evil, and now our bird can pick up the weight and move us to the next part of the stage. Now this right here, this is the whole world. So this is where we're at, the landing, the prologue, if you will. You got the next portion, which is the Forest Plateau, the floating isle, the mountain tundra, the Great Plains, and Redwood Steep. These are the three beasts that you have to fight in order to get to the floating isle. So So you'll go to Forest Plateau, and then you'll follow it with, I believe, Redwood, and then Great Plains is the order that it's in. And this is going to take us to another game mechanic that we'll use throughout the game. And this is using your eagle in order to glide. Once again, it's a lot like Zelda, where you have the hang glider, except there's no stamina bar. You just float, pretty much. So you'll jump, and then you'll activate it again with X, almost like a double jump. And then use circle if you want the bird to drop you. This is going to kind of put everything together so we get our bird to pick up this weight. Go to this area right here, we'll have the bird drop the weight. Kind of glide on over. And we'll just repeat this until we get to our final destination, which is right here. Now what's going to happen right here is the bird's just going to fall off. Don't worry, I got a little panicked at first and I was like, I messed up. But no, it just, the bird just takes its time. I guess it's a lot of weight for the eagle to carry. Gotta cut the bird some slack sometimes. So we'll go right here, press the switch. And this will bring us to the wind tunnel, and you guessed it, we're gonna use that eagle to fly, fly, fly. And as you can see here, beautiful game. Game plays extremely well. Just look at all that detail. I call this like a pseudo indie game, but beautiful, beautiful game. Beautiful music as well. So, we can hit those targets as we're flying. I missed that one. Don't worry about it. Run, do what we learned. You don't need to get too crazy. A lot of these obstacles are pretty simple. And you see here all these golden nuggets. There's enough here to allow us to get a double jump. Right here, you can flap while gliding. Collect more crystals to be able to flap additional times in the air. Press X again and allow us to do a double jump. I'm gonna let you know right now, you want as many jumps as possible in this game. There's areas in this game that it's just gonna make your life so much easier. So definitely look around. If you see those gold nuggets, definitely pick them up. Because like I said, it's just gonna make your life so much easier. So we're gonna go across. And just in case you're wondering, you see how I use that double jump and I drop. It does take a second to refill. It's almost instant with just one double jump, but when you start getting to like 5 or 6, you will have to let it recharge, which can get a little annoying, but it's not too bad. And this takes us to the Forest Plateau. So we're officially out of the prologue and into the first section of the world. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream right now, and then I'll be dropping part 2 of this series in a little bit. So it would mean a lot to me if you would like this video, subscribe to my channel so you would know when the next worst average content is dropping. And it'd be great just to get some support. Like I said, I'll be doing a lot of playthroughs on this channel. So if you like indie games, you like playthroughs, I'll be definitely knocking them out right here. So until next time, thanks for watching and stay tuned for part 2.